Well, welcome back. Today I got 2001 Buick Park Avenue again. This is one of my cars. I've done a lot of work, and you've seen it in the other videos, and it needs new lower control arms in the front. So we're going to go through putting control arms in this. You probably should get an alignment done after this, or at least checked if you do this, because you are breaking the ball joint loose and removing the control arm, putting a new ball joint in it as well. The control arm comes with the ball joint. There's a couple things when you do this. It's unless you are willing to break the strut loose from its mount, scribe it, break it loose, take the axle out, it's really hard to get torque readings and to torque this ball joint to what it's spec to be, which I think for this car says like 41 foot-pounds and then plus 120 degrees. And of course we all have torque wrenches that have digital readings that do, or even non-digital that do degrees. I don't. So it's going to get torqued to spec, as we like to say. It's going to get close. I'm going to torque it to probably around 47, 50 foot-pounds just by feel. If you want to really, if you're a stickler for that, and you should be close, but it's going to be very difficult unless you know, like I said, you break that strut loose, you take the axle apart so you can fold the steering knuckle down to get at that ball joint. Otherwise, you just don't have the clearance to do it. So we're going to make it close. Control arm bushings for this are 117 foot-pounds. You can get at them, so we'll torque them with a torque wrench. And we'll just go through, not a very difficult job really. Probably take a half an hour, 45 minutes. If you have air tools, probably a little faster. We'll just go through replacing it. Bushings and the control arm are worn. The symptoms for this were you step on the brake and if you let go of the wheel, it actually turns the wheel to the right a couple inches and stops, doesn't turn any further. But if you hold the wheel, pulls to the left. And here the control arms are moving around because the bushings are bad. I'll show you that when I get them out. Alright, 19 millimeter. I was going to take the wheel off. I've got this car up on jack stands. Do not do this just with a floor jack under it. It's not safe. Alright, you can actually do this without taking the rotor and caliper off. Obviously, if I do that, you're not going to be able to see anything at all. So I'm just going to take this caliper mounting bracket off. It's 15 millimeter, 2 bolts in the back here. We're going to take them off. We're going to hang this up on the spring, get it out of the way, out of our way. The rotor off, we'll set that aside. Right there, stabilizer end link for the stabilizer bar. That's 14 millimeter top and bottom. We're going to zip that off. We need to take that off and get it out of the way. So, just going to hold it up top here. There you go. Zip it off the bottom. See if I can show you this. So in behind here, if you can see it right there. I'm trying to figure out a good way to show this to you. There's no good way that I can see to really show it to you. So looking right in behind here, right up in there. Let me see if you have light in there. Right there. Right there. That's the nut for the ball joint. As you can see, you don't have a lot of clearance. And as I mentioned earlier, the only way, if you really want to get a torque wrench on this to put it back, you'd have to come up here to the steering knuckle, scribe the front of this, break these loose so you can fold the knuckle out, take the axle nut off, 34 millimeter here, push the axle back out of the steering knuckle so you can get a torque wrench on here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get it close to what it should be and go with that. So as you can see back in here, while I'm in here, I'll just show you. There's the control arm front, which is 18 millimeter and 21 millimeter on these. So we'll be taking them apart. You can see this one's pretty torn up a little bit. I've seen them worse, but it's cracked and it's it's causing a problem. So yeah, that rear bushing's pretty bad. We'll take a closer look when I get it out of there. But right now, we're just going to come in here, behind here, with an 18mm wrench, open end, because I don't believe you can get a close end. There's not enough clearance. At least I found that there's not enough clearance between the axle and the nut to get it on there. So we'll just come in and we'll break that loose, take it off. And so obviously you're not going to be able to see this. I'm going to pull the cotter pin out of it. There it goes. Boy, that was fun. Alright, we're just going to come in here with 19mm, I believe is what this is. See if we can get it with that. Yeah, 19mm. I know you can't see this, but it's not real exciting. There's nothing really much to see here. I'm just taking the castle nut off the ball joint. I can get the close end of the wrench in there, which is nice. Makes it a little easier. Right in there, there's that nut. There's that castle nut. Let's see if I can just lay my blade in here. Oh, this is like contortionist right there. Broke that loose. Take that off. Slide that out. So that's loose. So we're going to break this loose. We're going to hit it with a hammer a few times and see if we can break it loose. We're just going to whale with this a little bit. I'm not keeping the ball joint, so I don't really care that I hit the ball joint. You know, normally if you're keeping the ball joint, you'd hit the arm and knock it loose that way, but we're not keeping the ball joint because the control arm comes on new. I'm just going to stick a pry bar in here just to see if it broke loose here. A lot of times it'll just, the tension on the inner, yeah, see it's loose, it's moving down. The tension from these bushings will hold it up there, but it's actually loose, good. The ball joint's broken loose. So we're going to go in and work on the inner bushings now, control arm bushings. So we're looking at the rear control arm bushing. As I mentioned before, it's 18mm head of the bolt and a 21mm nut. So we're just going to undo them and take them off. And try not to hit the camera too many times for you. Alright, get that loose. It does not want to come out. We're going to loosen the front one first. Alright, you can't see what I'm doing here. I'll try to stay out of your way, but I don't know how much I'm going to be able to. Just gotta get. And no, it's not being held up by that floor jack. It's actually on jack stands. That's just for additional safety. There's one. Longer bolts in the front on this control arm. They are different sizes, different lengths, I should say, not different sizes. Let's get the rear one out. Get this rear bolt out of here. Which let's slide back. Oh, wrong way. Get the rear bolt out of here and get on our way. That ball joint's loose. Come on. A little bit of grief here, but not much. Fine. There it goes. That loosened the tension on it. The bolt. Alright. Oh yeah, that one's pretty bad. Yeah, you think that one's bad? Fell apart. Yeah, there's not much left of the back one. It's in pretty bad shape. Bushing's all beat. I don't know how much that you can see, but you can see it's all cracked, and this is all beat up. Fell right out of there. Not looking too good. Front looks a little better, but it's cracked as well. You know, it just doesn't. I've seen them a lot worse, but it's not great. It's cracked. It's hard to see that. I don't know if you're able to see that, but if you look in this gap here, it's cracked all the way around it. Not all the way around, but pretty good. So, time to replace it. Alright, well there's your new part number. right there. RK620292. That's for the right hand side. The left hand is 291 instead of 292. Moog. I like Moog stuff. Actually like it. I have very little issue with it. And one of the things I really like about it is most of their stuff is greasable. I'm a big fan of greasable. So you can see these are one piece. They don't come apart. Those other ones just fell right apart. They fell right out of there. Not much to it. It's actually a different, I think, slightly, well, maybe not, a little bit different design, but not a whole lot. But they shouldn't be separated like they were. So there's a plastic cover on here. We're going to take that off. That doesn't go on. Set that aside. Just slide this up in here. Get it down in there, right? It should fit right in there. It does. We'll just line it up. Line the bolt holes up with it. Put it the right way. Bolts face the back. Heads to the front of the car. The nut is to the back. Alright. That one in place. Front one in place now, which I don't think you can see. Now you can. Line this one up. Slide it through. Get it started here. I'm trying to stay out of your way. Kind of a little difficult to stay out of the way of the camera. It's going to be right in the way. You can see the back of my head for this one. Up. And bash you around while I'm doing it. Alright. So I'm going to snug these down, but you cannot tighten these up without a load being on the suspension. So before we tighten them up, I'm going to put the floor jack underneath the control arm out by the ball joint and pick it up so it just picks it up off of the jack stand. I mean, it's fully loaded that suspension, and then we're going to torque these things down. Now we're going to come back out here to this ball joint. We're going to line this up, get it started. And we're going to torque it by feel, because as I said before, there's no room to get a torque wrench in there. It just doesn't happen. Alright. Start it up in there. Yep. I'm right up in there. Okay. Your castle nut. Once again, we're not going to torque this down until we put tension on this arm. Load the arm. I'm just going to start it. I know you can't see it, but it's just spinning it onto the top of the ball joint stud. No biggie. Alright. Now we're going to pull the floor jack back over here. Load this arm. Put some tension on this arm. And load the suspension up so we can So I'm just going to pick this up, and I'm going to watch this jack until it just starts to pick it off of that floor jack. Or floor stand, I should say, jack stand. Not a floor jack. Alright, so it's just picking it up off of that floor stand. So that means the suspension's got the full weight of the car, it's loaded. And now I can torque everything down. So as I said before, I'm going to do this one by feel. Look up your torque specs. I mentioned earlier, this one says 41 plus 120 degrees. Unless you tear this whole thing apart, you're not going to be able to do that. I'm just going to do it by feel and try to get it around 47, 50. Something right in there. If you're that concerned about it, you can break everything loose and do it with a torque wrench if you want. I'll do it on. Hopefully you're seeing this. Yeah, it's there. There's nothing to see right now anyway. I think you're seeing this, but I'm just reaching in behind here. Torquing that back down. Nothing to see. Alright. Not quite yet. 150 cotter pin. Now we're going to torque these control arm bushings to 117 foot-pounds. I'm going to do the rear first. It says to do the rear first, so we'll do the rear first. Alright, we're going to come in here now and just torque this to 117 foot-pounds. Okay, so that's it. Ball joint's been tightened. Control arm bushings, or bolts for the control arm bushings have been tightened. You can now take the load off of that suspension and finish putting it back together. Okay, I'm going to come in back and first thing we're going to do before we forget, these ball joints are greasable, so I got a Zerk fitting right here for them. Hopefully you can see that yet. Open that up. It's a 7mm in this case. Down the bottom of the ball joint. Get my head out of the way. Snug it up. It's only 7mm. Don't crush it. Snug it up. It's greasable. Obviously, that's why it has a Zerk fitting. So, I'm going to grease it. Get my light out of the way. Okay, we're going to come back to this side. I'm going to put a stabilizer end link back in there. I know it's exciting. It's just absolutely thrilling. Plenty. Alright. Alright. Gonna put the rotor back on. Rehang the caliper. And we're done. Put the wheel on, we're done. Okay, I will torque these by hand to 100 foot-pounds when I put it down on the ground. They're just snug right now, so now we're just going to get off the jack stands, put the car back on the ground. We should be good to go. Well, that's about it. You got to see not a very difficult job. Takes a little bit of time. One thing I mentioned in the beginning, and I'll just say it again, is trying to get torque wrench onto some of these is just, unless you're willing to tear that whole knuckle apart, basically, undo it from the strut and do it from the control arm, then you can torque that ball joint. I'm just not willing to do that. You should get an alignment done after you do this. I hope it helped you out. If you need to do this, if you like the video, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.